breakup story, the way that Grayson was standing there with the New Day on Raw, and they were talking shit behind Austin's back, and then it got involved into a segment. I think they're going to be trying to build Theory up as a baby face here. But go ahead, Toxic. Sorry.
Also, after tonight in the LA Knight, Carmelo Hayes, Randy Orton, and Aleister Black, even though he just came back, I feel Aleister Black's is on probably on the chopping block because he's only had a couple matches, one with both Mello and Miz. He won those two. Then I don't know what he had after that. He had Money in the Bank. He lost that. I don't know.
It was Andrade, yeah.
He had the Money in the Bank qualifying match. He lost that. And then he had a match with LA Knight the Friday before Money in the Bank. He lost. Well, technically, he lost that. And then he lost tonight. So
I don't think he'll be on the chopping block because for two main reasons. One, he's a Triple H is a huge fan of his. He's a big Triple H guy from the NXT Black and Gold days.
Mm-hmm.
But also, TKO only wants Triple H releasing people for use versus the size of their contract. So if he's being consistently used, which he may not have any consistent fucking stories, but he's still getting used regularly, then it justifies his contract because he's still wrestling on TV every single week. So long as that keeps happening.
What up, real life Hobbit? All right,
Speaking
guys.
Of,
go ahead, Toxic. Finish your thoughts so we can get started.
Speaking of stories with Aleister Black, you could, if there is even a draft, you could tell the story between Seth Rollins and Aleister Black because of the match that Seth interfered in the Friday before Money in the Bank with LA and Aleister. They had that stare down. So you could tell that if there is a draft.
That's possible.
All right, y'all. Let's get this thing rolling.
Yeah.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Snug Wrestling Podcast. It's Friday, so we're going to be going over Friday Night Smackdown. My name is Edgar. I am the host, and I got the great Snug crew, a.k.a. Here's a little secret, y'all, what Mr. Blood likes to call us, the Snuggle Buddies. I had to throw it out there. I had to make that public. That's right. I got Mr. Blood, I got Tommy, and I got Toxic here with me. What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
No regrets. Snuggle Buddies.
Yeah, man. Let's not. I had to make that public, but let's
just
never
so you
use that
know,
ever again.
It's one of our group chat names.
Yeah.
Now you know
It's only right. It's only right that it's only right that we let the people in, you know. So, but yeah, how you guys doing, man? You guys ready to talk some Smackdown tonight?
Yeah, feels good to be back, honestly. And does it feel good to be at the Snug Wrestling Podcast on a Friday night or what, man? Let's go.
It really does. It really does. Yeah, it was a pretty cool Smackdown overall. John Cena was here. We saw John Cena a couple times, so we're gonna get started with that guy, that fucking guy. We're down to 17 dates left. We were at 18 with this one is 17. We're running out of time with John Cena, unfortunately, but it was good to see him a couple times here throughout the show. We will be seeing him next week versus R-Truth, which we'll talk about later on. But John Cena came out and he put himself in the Mount Rushmore. He's like top 4 wrestlers of all time. Cena. Kind of like, probably not like the younger folks won't know this, but it reminded me of the Chappelle skit. Dylon. But yeah, John Cena claims that everything that he's done in this farewell tour has all been part of his evil plan. It's all, done by design. And everything from, facing Randy, beating him in his hometown, to getting R-Truth over, to beating Cody. It's all part of the evil plan. But Cody Rhodes came out, Randy Orton came out, and even LA Knight came out, which I thought was cool to see LA Knight be in that same conversation as Randy, as Cody, as Cena. But Cody Rhodes made it clear, yeah, was you getting pinned by me at Money in the Bank also part of your plan? Randy Orton said the only reason you beat me is because someone interfered, I believe, but it was a fluke. And everyone is coming after Cena. Even R-Truth attacked John Cena once again behind his back during this opening segment. But everyone seems to be coming for the champ. Thoughts on the opening segment, Mr. Blood? Do the honors.
Well, he's got 17 dates left. So if we were talking about this, I think, what was it on last night when you and I link up every Thursday night on TikTok Live, we link up for a one-on-one conversation for what's going on in the wrestling world and thoughts and vibes and stuff. It's cool. Join us every Thursday, by the way, guys, around 9 p.m. Eastern time and 6 o'clock West Coast. But as far as it's concerned, if you're gonna limit his dates, this is the way to do it. Use him multiple times. Get the most out of this date. He was all across this show tonight. 2 different beatdowns. Segment that we're going to get into after this or later. But I thought this was great. And I thought that a lot of stuff he said made a lot of sense in his promo. It was all a plan, a 25-year in the making plan. Everything was meticulously thought out. And I'd like to point out that he said, he knew it'd be easy to win the Elimination Chamber with Punk and Rollins because he knew they'd go to each other's throat. But it wasn't easy, because if it was so easy, why would you wait and then drag him in? Like, you were struggling to get him to pass out in that STF, and you even apologized while doing it. So how easy could it have been? And on top of that, Cena did make some really good points where he said, for all the people speculating that Seth is going to cash in on John, one of the reasons I have said I doubt he's going to, I've been one of the few people, pardon me, on this panel that has stated he's not cashing in on Cena. Everybody else here has speculated or has felt like Cena's an option. And I have stayed and relegated myself to the conclusion, no. He wants the World Heavyweight Championship. What Cena said makes sense. Why would Seth go after him? Seth wants Cena gone, because if he takes the undisputed title with him, there can only be one head champion. And that's what Seth wants, to be the sole person on the roster, period, that leads the entire company into the future. I also thought that Randy coming out was great. I really liked that he highlighted his friendship with Cody. Like, I love you like a brother, but if I have to put you down to take that fucking Punk out, I will. Great work. And Cody, I thought Cody was fucking great here too. I think everybody was on point. I thought the entire promo was a success. And I'm really excited for the future. Getting jumped by R-Truth afterwards, perfect. I love it. Keep that thread going. Make sure that R-Truth stays in the mix as a surprise catalyst every time. This is great. We're building up Ron Killings here. And this is a serious truth, a serious Ron Killings. And I love it. So top marks for me. This was a great segment.
So I wasn't able to see this segment, but by everything y'all have said, I bet it was a good one. I think that when I hear you, Snug, say that, oh, Cody came out, Randy came out, LA Knight came out, I think that we've already seen Cody and Cena. We've already seen Randy and Cena. I think after Punk and Cena, LA Knight and Cena is next. Because Mr. Blood, or other way for me, Blood has said that he thinks that LA Knight is going to be the one to retire Cena. I think that too. But it's cool to think about, okay, we've seen Cena and Cody, we've seen Cena and Randy. We've seen Cena and Knight, but they were tag teaming against the Bloodline 1.0 with Jimmy and Solo. So I thought it was cool because Cena has history with all three of those men. So yeah.
Here's the thing. I do not think that he's going to go up against LA Knight this early. As much as we all have basically agreed that all of the matches that we have called so far that we knew was going to happen is happening so early on, I honestly think, I do think Knight will be coming at some point. He absolutely will be going up against John Cena. I think it'll be later in the year. If I'm being completely honest, with the fact that as of next week, we have 16 appearances remaining after next week. I think after that 2-night SummerSlam, we don't see Cena for a couple of months. That is the only way that you can feasibly spread all of this out into the entire year. That is the only feasible way at the current moment. So I think after SummerSlam, he's out for like 2 months at least. That is my theory there.
All right, let's get into the match because this opening segment led to the first Fatal 4-Way King of the Ring qualifying match for Carmelo Hayes versus Aleister Black versus Randy Orton versus LA Knight. And LA Knight came out, he interrupted everyone, and he had a shot for this King of the Ring, but he did not win it, unfortunately. Give me a second. So we want to see LA Knight face John Cena, but how? It's not going to be because of the King of the Ring anymore. We have 17 dates left. We have John Cena until December. LA Knight better win Elimination Chamber, because if not, how else do you get LA Knight versus John Cena before the end of the year? As far as the match goes, this was a great opening match. I think this match was actually better than the main event, the Fatal 4-Way in the main event, which, by the way, we had fucking what? 4 Fatal 4-Ways or 3? 4 Fatal 4-Way matches tonight. I'm going to say this one was my favorite one because, like earlier, we saw LA Knight up in that category with, the Randys and the Codys and the Cenas. In this match, we saw Aleister Black in the same ring with Randy Orton and LA Knight, which are top stars. And I thought that was really cool to see Aleister Black in that same in that same picture as the top players on Smackdown. For a second there, I was kind of going for Carmelo Hayes. I'm probably the only person that was rooting for Carmelo Hayes as the super underdog. He was, the one that no one really expected him to win. So I think for that was the only reason why I wanted to see Carmelo win it. But it was actually Randy Orton. But this match was fun overall because it was really unpredictable. Toxic, what were your thoughts on this?
I have actually a few thoughts. I think Randy winning and going on to face Sammy makes so much sense because they said it a few times. Randy was the runner-up last year, and it was a super controversial loss. People are saying he did not have his shoulders down. We should see a rematch between Gunther and Randy, but did they do it? No, because they absolutely hate. I'm kidding. They don't hate us. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, it would have made sense also for LA Knight to win because people were saying he deserves Money in the Bank. He's the one that should win Money in the Bank. But no, the most obvious choice for me would be Randy because of the controversial loss that happened last year. Also, to answer to go on with some of the stuff that Snug said earlier, I think we see this because during the match we saw Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker take LA Knight out, so he couldn't win this. I think sometime down the road we get something that happened between Otis and The Miz when Otis won Money in the Bank. I think LA Knight's going to want a shot at the Money in the Bank briefcase. He wins it, and that's how we see. I don't see it happening, but I would like to, and that's how we see LA versus Cena. But it makes sense to me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm on board for it. But if you think about it, does Triple H really love us that much? For the money, yes, but no, he does not. It has, but yeah, the match all around was great. To Alistair being the person who has lost a lot in the past couple of weeks, to Carmelo Hayes not catching a win for his life, um, to Randy Orton being the legend that he is, and the LA Knight just being the megastar. Yeah.
Carmelo Miss. That shall be his name now. It shall be Carmelo Miss. Because for all the times he's just like, I am him. No, you're not. No, you are not. He is now known as Carmelo Miss. Now, the match itself. As much as I wanted LA Knight to win, Randy was the right choice here. He truly was here. Randy was, in fact, the right choice because of, as Toxic said, that ending from last year. There was a reason why last year, right after that happened, Randy was talking to Gunther, and it's just like, did you really beat me? Did you? Did you really? Because my shoulder wasn't on the mat. You didn't really beat me. So, I am glad here that Randy Orton won this match. Now, with LA Knight, he's got to call a shot somewhere. And I think when he does, he calls back to the fact that they used to tag together. I think that may be how he gets Cena to go, you know what? I'll give you a shot. Let's do it. I'll give you one shot, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted. Will you capture it or will you let it slip? Yeah, I think that is how he gets Cena to agree to a match, is to remind him of the fact that they used to tag together a couple years ago.
I thought this match was really, really good. It sucks because you know the moment you see Carmelo Hayes in there, there's a party that hopes, oh my God, are they going to surprise us and give him like a shock win out of nowhere, an upset victory? But then you see Randy Orton, and then you see Aleister Black, and then you see LA Knight, and you go, yeah. And then you also have to remember, as much as I wanted LA Knight to win the King of the Ring because it made the most sense. Up until the moment he decided to ambush them in Money in the Bank and essentially screw them. So that kind of stepped all over that. And then we heard over the beginning of the week that there was rumblings that the plan was to run a small program between LA Knight and Seth Rollins leading into Night of Champions. So if that's the case, I automatically knew LA Knight wasn't winning. Now, the finish of this match I thought was brilliant. Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker come in, spear the ever-loving piss out of LA Knight, and sent his rib cage back to LA FedEx Express. And then I thought it was awesome when Carmelo Hayes thinks, oh, he's got this. He takes his eyes off the prize. He's about to hit a move off the top rope on Aleister Black. And I'm trying to figure out how he didn't see Randy there right before he leapt, because he turned his head and then he jumped. Trying to figure that one out. But he literally jumped into what was an insanely unique RKO that turned it into a body splash directly on top of Alistair. And then Alistair Black ate the, onto LA Knight. My bad. It was onto LA Knight. But yeah, LA Knight ate the pin. So I think it's kind of weird because you set LA Knight and Randy up in that segment with Cena and with Cody earlier. So you got two guys that you're trying to tell me are important in this story right now, because these are essentially the four guys in the ring. So when you see those four guys, you think, okay, well, putting LA Knight up there with these guys, these specific three men, you're telling me he's a big deal to you right now in the back, because you're having him rub shoulders with the top main eventers in the fucking company. That's a big deal for him. No matter how you slice it, that's a big deal, because he wasn't used as comedy fodder. He wasn't used for all them to finish or spam on. He wasn't there to get his face rubbed into the mat. No, he was there, stood on business, ran all three of them down on the mic, and threw that bitch down with the mic drop. You're telling me LA Knight is important in this series of unrolling events, which is good for him. It tells me the writers' room is taking him seriously. So then you also kind of back yourself into a corner. You want Randy to go over, right? But you also don't want to make Randy or LA look weak. So why have LA take the pin is what a lot of people are going to say. And for those people, I say, I would agree with you that LA Knight was the wrong guy to take the pin had they not protected him in the finish by having those guys run in on him. So it doesn't make LA Knight look weak if he's protected. When you get jumped by two guys and then get someone's full body weight RKO'd on top of you, I would say it's not your fault you lost. Other than that, I think this is really good. To wrap my thought up, I will say that I think the way that LA Knight gets to Cena later in the year, he just calls his fucking shot and Cena says, why not? Because at the end of the day, you can stretch 17 to 16 dates across 6 more months. Me and Snug broke this down last night on the live, and we figure with the dates he has left, you could, if he has four rivalries left, you can give Cena 3 appearances apiece, and that's still 12, even if he uses another 4 between now and SummerSlam. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, LA Knight will not be going to the King of the Ring. It looks like he's going to be focusing his energy onto the Paul Heyman guys. We still don't know what the fuck to call them. Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. So we got that to look forward to when it comes to LA Knight, at least for now. Let's talk about the United States champion, Jacob Fatu. Since the big flip when he turned on Solo Sikoa at Money in the Bank, we got to hear from him. His reason as to why was pretty simple, man. Solo Sikoa, he's trying to take all the credit for the success that Jacob Fatu has had in the WWE, and he's not about to let that happen. Hell nah. Not Jacob Fatu, but Solo Sikoa showed up on the screen with a very weird-looking JC Mateo in the background, looking like he was in the shadows, kind of like some guy that really loves bats, just with his shades and wearing all black. Very interesting. But, yeah, Solo Sikoa says, hey, I was the one that went all the way to Sacramento, my hometown, and I brought your ass to the WWE. I made sure you got paid. I did this. So Solo, again, trying to take the credit. And he gives Jacob Fatu an option. Next week, I'm willing to forgive you. You can come back to the family. All you have to say is 4 words. I love you, Solo. So Jacob Fatu has a week to think about this. Is he actually going to do it? I mean, that's not really the question. The question is here. We saw Hikuleo debut on the dark match before SmackDown. Is this how they bring him into the main roster? If anything, if they plan to bring him up to the main roster, I'm afraid so, and I say I'm afraid so because I don't know if we really need Hikuleo to be added to the Sting. But what are your guys' thoughts on this? Tommy, you're up.
Solo needs help. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. Solo's going to need help. Because will good old Jacob Fatu say those four little words again? Hell no. Hell no. There is no possible way this man is going to say, I love you, Solo. Not after literally what Solo has said about Jacob behind his back. And Jacob caught him. There is no possible way that he's just going to casually forgive him after Solo's over here saying he's all gas, no brains. Like, he's just not going to forgive him after that. Which means yet another round of, hey, if you say what I want you to say, you can come back to the family. Just come back to me. You can come back to the family. This is Jimmy Uso all over again. He has done the same shit with Jimmy Uso. And Jimmy did not agree to it. And I guarantee you, neither will the Samoan werewolf. I truly do think as well that this will be how Hikuleo gets involved. And when he does, he still ain't going to be enough. They're going to have an entire army to take down the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu.
Thank you, Tommy, for that very colorful dissertation. Um, as far as concerned, look, as far as great segment, I noticed one thing. Maybe it was just the crowd. Maybe it's a one-off because it's the first live in-ring segment we've had with Jacob since Money in the Bank. I felt like the crowd was not as behind him as they should have been. They felt they were cheering for him, but it was nowhere near as loud as they normally do. And I wonder if that's because half of the mystique of Jacob is that he's an anti-hero, not a babyface. And when he came out there, he started the promo off like a babyface. He literally he shouted the city's whole name, Lexington, Kentucky. And it was just like, that's a babyface move. And the moment I heard him say that, I was like, that's not a good move. He shouldn't be a face. He should be a tweener. Don't start having him cut promos like a face, because half of what made him cool was that he can act like a heel and be cool. If you turn him into a baby face, spitting out baby face shit, I think you're going to kill his mystique very quickly. That being said, I think it's an interesting notion. Hey, you meet me in the ring next week. I'll take you back in the family. You know, I can forgive you, but I need you to say 4 words. I love you, Solo. And then he'll forgive you. But if you don't, remember, Jacob, when I found you, you were nothing. You were doing nothing. You were nothing. I put money in your pocket, food on your table. I made you a star. I helped position you to get that very championship that's on your shoulder. I brought you into this world. I can take you out. And if the rumors are true that Hikuleo could be getting called up here soon, because they've had Hikuleo on the roster for a while, but he's been in developmental and not utilized because of whatever reason. Here's the one issue I think we're going to run into that no one's thought about. If Hikuleo debuts next week on Smackdown to help Mateo and Solo jump Jacob, what the fuck happens when Tama and Tonga come back? Are we going to have fucking 5 Bloodline 2.0 members now? Because I think at a point you have to realize you're overplaying your hand. The reason the original Bloodline story was so successful and so great was because it was built over so much time, to where it started with Roman and Paul. They had to bring and convince Jay into the forefront. Then they had to convince Jimmy into the forefront. And then Jimmy had to convince everyone to accept Sammy into the forefront. And then they were a unit, and it took them almost 2.5, 3 years to get to that point. Since Solo has taken over this bloodline, we have had fucking Jimmy try to be a part of it, get jumped and kicked out on the first fucking day. We've had Jacob entered in. We've had Tama, then Tonga Loa appeared. Okay. Now Tama and Tonga are gone, but before they were gone, he fucking started partnering with Bronson Reed. Then Bronson gets injured, right? Tonga's injured. Tama's injured. Then we debut fucking JC after that. Then it's JC and Jacob for like 3.5 weeks. And now we're at the point where it's just JC and Solo. And it's been a year. 1 year. I don't know how much more mileage you can get out of this. I really don't.
Yeah, so my question is, what the fuck even is the Bloodline story anymore? Like, where have they gone to? Roman's not even a part of the Bloodline story, and he's the one who made it. Jay's not in it. He's off doing his own thing, which I don't hate. I like it. Jimmy's off doing his own thing. I don't hate it. I like it. Solo, he's out being a bum. He's always been one. And then you have JC. What the? Why call him JC Mateo? Obviously, because of probably legal reasons. Why call him JC Mateo though? Pick anything else. And then Jacob, he's off doing his own. He's gonna be off doing his own thing, trying to like beat Solo and Jeff Cobb and maybe Hikuleo. But next week, there's gonna be a face-to-face with Solo and Jacob. I think Jacob says those 4 words, but it's not the words you're thinking. I hate you, Solo. That sounded like 5 to me, but anyways, I think Jeff Cobb and Solo jump Jacob, and we hear, oh, I think Jimmy Uso comes out to save Jacob, and then we end up seeing a tag team match. And that's how I think we would get Hikuleo debuting. If you ask me, that sounds perfect. I would love to see Jimmy and Jacob tag team because they were on the opposite teams of the Bloodline plus CM Punk and Bronson Reed War Games team. They were on the opposite teams. Hell, Jimmy Uso flipped Jacob off. I think it would be perfect. See them once be enemies, now allies.
Yeah, a lot of good. You guys came up with a lot of good shit just in this short period of time. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen here. The possibilities are pretty much endless. Like Toxic, that's another good thought right there. Jacob Fatu, basically, he's a babyface, like Mr. Blood said, even though he's not really a big fan of him being a full-blown babyface. But I mean, after he turned on Solo Sikoa, that pretty much puts him in that babyface. I'll get to you, Blood. You can put your hand down as soon as I'm done. I see you. He's pretty much a babyface now. Now, unless Triple H goes on one of his fucking, has one of his moods where he just starts releasing people with no notice like he has before, and he just decides, okay, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, they're gone. We don't need them anymore. If they bring up Hikuleo, it is possible that we see another 5-member bloodline, but there's also the chance that they could join Jacob Fatu when Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa come back and they see JC Mateo and they see Hikuleo. They're like, hey, we didn't sign up for this. We didn't agree to this. And then we have now a 3-on-3 situation with Solo, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa versus, Fatu, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa versus Solo, Hikuleo, and JC Mateo. I mean, they can have tag team matches, six man tag matches. You're obviously going to be having the Solo and Jacob Fatu feud for the United States Championship. So a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of interesting stuff, I think. But go ahead, Mr. Blood.
I just had a thought, since we know the rumor circulating is that they are done pushing Jey Uso and that they were thinking about repairing him back up against, or pairing him back up with Jimmy to potentially take tag titles away from the New Day. But I have another theory. If Jacob Fatu and Jimmy Uso join forces, what if Jimmy goes to Jey for help? And it's the Usos and Jacob versus Hikuleo, Solo, and JC Mateo instead. That was my thought.
Going on here, but this is one of my favorite parts about SmackDown is the mid card scene with Jacob Fatu as the United States champion and all this stuff that's going on. So I'm gonna be looking forward to that. Let's go on to the Queen of the Ring qualifying match. The first the first 4-way match. I already forgot who was in this match because honestly, sorry y'all, but I wasn't really interested in this a whole lot. I did see that Jade Cargill won this one, so Jade Cargill advances. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because we're moving on to the semifinals of the Queen of the Ring, and we have to know what's going on here, you guys. So, is there anything worth mentioning that stood out to you guys about this match?
I don't want to waste my beginning turn on this, so I'm going to say no. So I'll go first on the next segment because I didn't give a shit about this either.
The only thing I have to say is, Snug, it was Jade, Candice, Naya, and Piper.
Tommy,
Yes.
you were wrong. It is Naya, Meechin, Piper, and Jade.
Oh, that's right, because Candice is fucking later on. Never mind.
All right.
The point still stands. This thing was not that interesting.
Yeah, other than Jade Cargill winning, which, by the way, by now I thought Jade Cargill would be in a different level as far as interest goes or everything really in general. But yeah, this match was what it was. Jade Cargill advances. Let's talk about John Cena, his second segment, the second time that we saw John Cena on this episode of Friday Night SmackDown. He came out to call out the truth. Ron Killings, R-Truth, but he got CM Punk instead again. Oh, I thought you were telling me no, Mr. Blood, like I fucked something up already. But no, I'm good. Yeah, just like Monday Night Raw, we thought we were gonna get R-Truth and John Cena face to face in the ring, especially after R-Truth attacked John Cena earlier in the show. But it was CM Punk again, and they're going to build up their match for Night of Champions. I'm like, okay, we're about to cook. CM Punk and John Cena, two of the best on the mic. They're about to have a great promo battle. CM Punk is, he's hyping up this promo. All right. When CM Punk grabs the mic, shit's about to get real. And, I'm getting all excited. And then CM Punk forgot his fucking lines. He forgot his lines. I don't know what the fuck happened here in this promo, but CM Punk fucking dropped the ball on this promo. It was so awkward. Even John Cena, too, he was like kind of smiling, like kind of laughing. Not at CM Punk, but at this situation, like, holy shit. So CM Punk had to like recover himself a little bit here. And he was like, oh yeah, what did you say to me again earlier? Oh yeah, you said something about, oh yeah, by the way. And it was just, oh man, I love CM Punk, but I was so disappointed in this. I guess my hopes were really high when it comes to John Cena and a CM Punk promo battle for their final match leading up to Night of Champions. CM Punk, of all people, fucking, I don't know, man. He dropped the ball on this promo, man. That's what I saw. Mr. Blood, what did you see?
Thank God I saw the edited version where that wasn't a part of it, so I didn't get that ruined for me. But here's the thing: look. As far as Punk messing up on the promo, no one has a 10 out of 10 every their entire career. You make a mistake somewhere. Punk is one of the greatest in-ring promos of all time. Period. Point blank. That is a fucking fact. Even he, though, is human and capable of making an error or mistake and tripping over his words. However, either way you put it, he fucking flame broiled John Cena regardless. This is a great segment. And I love the little hint where when CM Punk came out to his entrance, he was giving a nod to his wife, AJ Lee. The way that he leaned forward and crossed his arms behind his back and did that little sway is literally exactly what his wife does. It's also exactly what Roxanne Perez tries to do. I thought that was really great. I think what was awesome was just Punk laid into this guy. He literally looks at John and he goes, how you got the nerve to put yourself on you got the nerve to put yourself on a Mount Rushmore, not one, but let alone 4 times, gets right in his face and goes, "You're a joke." He goes, "I beat you in my hometown. I beat you in your hometown, and I'm going to beat you in Saudi Arabia." And then the line about him saying about a lamb because it's Saudi Arabia, so they're holy, sacred, all this other crap. A lamb, I'm gonna fire roast it and serve it up as an offering to the gods. I thought, I was like, bro, I was like, stop, he's already dead. Like, I was like, Punk, even though he failed, Punk cooked. I thought this was awesome. And then what came after? Punk essentially distracting Cena by just kind of shoulder bumping him, gave him one of those old shoulder checks, gets out of the ring, and Cena gets jumped again by R-Truth. And this time, Punk got this thing locked down. He gets on the mic, leans in the ring while Cena is in the STF fighting for his life, and just goes, "I'm sorry." The same way John Cena did to him in Elimination Chamber when he took the easy way out to pin him, make him pass out in the ring. I thought that was genius on Punk's part. And I love that Cena sold the effects of how long he was in the STF. Rolling out of the ring and then limping, almost falling over, unable to walk and stand, trying to grab at his knee, selling the effects of R-Truth's attack, because a lot of people never sell the STF. A lot of people don't realize the STF is not a sleeper. It is a knee lock. It's a knee bar. That's why it hurts so bad. He's pulling against your neck to torque your knee back farther. People always think it's some kind of chokehold. So I love that he sold it perfectly, especially since he created the move. So it's genius. Love this segment.
I'm a blood. I love this segment. I liked how Punk referenced, this sounds familiar. Oh, I'm gonna take the title home with me. I'm gonna ruin wrestling. You sound a lot like CM Punk. And just for the sake of it, I'm gonna be the one to stop you. I'm gonna be the one to save it. Oh, I sound like John Cena. You can't see me. I love Punk in this. I couldn't even tell that he slipped up on his words. That's how good his promo was. I couldn't tell that he slipped up on his words. As Punk, this is even, it's just funny. This is funny, cool, everything you want to say about it that's positive. I love this segment. And the fact that Truth jumped Cena makes it even more funny. The truth hurts, doesn't it, Cena?
Snug, you mentioned the fact that Punk screwed up his words in the beginning. I am going to say this. We love calling Roman Reigns one of the greatest of all time, at least in the current era. But yet, one of his biggest moments is when he was the big dog And he himself screwed up on his words in a promo battle with John Cena. And Cena's response was, "Go ahead, kid. It's called a promo. You're going to have to get used to it." Like, even Roman Reigns back then, just look at that and look at this man now. This man is heat. Now, oh, Punk, my boy, you murdered him. You unalived this man. But I was able to see what happened right before Cena came out. Before Cena came out, he approaches Jimmy Uso in the back and said, "Have you seen R-Truth?" Like, "No, I have not." "Have you seen Ron Killings?" "No, I have not." "I know you two are close, so tell him I'm going out to the ring right now, and I want to see him there." That, let's go. Which then all of this leads into the announcement that next week we are getting yet another match, a round 2 between the GOAT, the Unseen 17, John Cena, and the new R-Truth, Ron Killings. I am excited for this match. This thing, it's going to be good. But Punk, dude, you burned this man alive. That is what you did. You burned this man alive. And it is making me hyped for Night of Champions. I am hyped for it.
Yeah, we're gonna see R-Truth face John Cena next week, but it's actually gonna be Ron Killings, so it's gonna be interesting. The differences that we're gonna see next week in that match when we see this version of R-Truth, which should be really cool. Now, when it comes to CM Punk, I'm not trying to shit on CM Punk, all right? Besides Mr. Blood, I'm the biggest CM Punk fan here. And I'm not going to compare this promo to fucking Roman Reigns' promo like years ago. Because Roman Reigns, he's on a whole nother level now. But back then, wasn't the same Roman from today as far as like on the mic, the confidence, in his promos and stuff. CM Punk has always been good at promos since I can remember. So I don't expect CM Punk to fuck up a promo like this, especially in this type of situation when he's setting up his matches, his final match with John Cena. I guess I'm shocked, if anything. But if you guys go back and rewatch the clip, I even posted the clip on our socials. He kind of goes blank. He draws a blank there. He has like a brain fart, which is weird to see from CM Punk. The promo was still good. He still recovered himself. And I guess the promo was just going somewhere. He started off by saying, "You know what? I am a hypocrite. I did go back on my word," and stuff like that. So it was going one way, and then it just went it took like a completely different turn. So I thought that was really weird. That's it. I'm not saying the promo was bad. I'm not saying, it didn't get the job done. I'm still hyped for it. They still had some good zingers in there, but I thought this could have been a lot better. Those were my final thoughts on this. Moving on to the Queen of the Ring match, the second one of the night, Charlotte Flair versus Alexa Bliss versus Candice LeRae and Alba Fire. Alexa Bliss won this match, and now we have one more Queen of the Ring match, right, for Monday Night Raw, if I'm not mistaken. So who do we got so far? We got Alexa Bliss, we got Jade Cargill, and Roxanne Perez, right? All right. Thoughts on this match, you guys? Who's up? I think it's Toxic.
Um, I really don't have any thoughts. I just like how the match, like we've been seeing Charlotte and Alexa backstage a lot, and I like how Alexa interrupted Charlotte while Charlotte was coming out because that kind of leans into something because next week or whenever Alexa and Roxanne or whoever, I don't know, I didn't pay attention to the bracket. Um, it's I'm interested to see if Charlotte costs Alexa that match, and then we see them go at it at Night of Champions. I'm curious. I'm now interested more in this story between Alexa and Charlotte, and I hope we get something bigger than just oh Alexa interrupting Charlotte or oh Alexa and Charlotte having exchanges backstage or I hope we get them. It's not saying that people need to get hurt to have fun. Well, actually, I am saying that that's all what wrestling is, but not really. You get my point. Um, but I hope we get backstage brawls like we did with Tiffany and Charlotte. Not as heated as we did Tiffany, as we got from Tiffany and Charlotte, but I hope we get some backstage brawls. I hope we get promo exchanges. I hope we get something. I want this to be a full blown feud. But of course, knowing Triple H, I'm not gonna get my standards high.
I enjoyed the match. I really did. But I have an issue with how the King and Queen of the Ring stuff is set. Because the issue here is they've scheduled themselves into a fucking corner. Okay, Toxic, you just asked how. This is how.
And if you were to read my lips, I was gonna say I'm curious.
This is how. 2 pay-per-views in 1 month, giving themselves 2 weeks to do this entire tournament. 2 weeks to do the whole thing. It feels rushed. It feels like some of these could have been one-on-one matches. At this point, I understand why Snug hates multi-man matches so much. Because the entire first round was multi-man. And except for the tag match, which we might talk about later, this entire night was full of all 4 fatal 4-ways. All 4 of them. And when I first saw that announcement, my immediate thought was, oh, great. Here we go. All 4 in one day? They really scheduled themselves bad, didn't they? But the match itself, I'm glad that Alexa won this one. I'm glad on that. Now, with Charlotte Flair, they're absolutely going to have something. There's no way they're going to start this setup with Alexa Bliss closing a door to a car and telling Charlotte Flair that we need to talk and not have this inevitably end up in a feud.
As far as concerned, match was fine. Alexa winning surprised me. Because as far as I'm concerned, honestly, I mean, the only 2 people I really wanted to win this match was Alexa or Charlotte. But I think that because they haven't had Charlotte win a lot lately, like she's mostly been putting people over since she's been back. And I think that's to kind of get rid of that stigma of Charlotte wins lol, quote unquote. Because since she has been back, if you really look at it, she has lost the majority of her matches that she's been in. So as far as it's concerned, giving it to Alexa is interesting. I'm not sure why they gave it to Alexa, if I'm being honest. I'm fine that she won it. I just don't know where they're going with this, because that whole setup with Alexa and Charlotte was like a fucking month and a week ago. So I'm really like, can we get the ball rolling on whatever you plan on doing with these two? Like, you set that segment up a while ago. You had Tiffany Stratton berate them both on the mic and call them old and hags and has-beens in the past and all this other crap. Haven't seen any follow-up to that. So I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is the plan here. If Alexa wins, great, fine, awesome, big win for her. That's totally cool. As far as the brackets are concerned, I love a tournament. I don't care if it's Fatal 4-Way City. At least as much of the talent as you can get TV time and get on screen, because a lot of guys don't get a lot of TV time and neither do a lot of girls. So I'm glad that we got to see as many people wrestle tonight as possible. Because I got to be honest, I fucking forget Meechin and Candace even work for the company until I see them in the ring. I legitimately forget that they're even there. So I thought that the brackets are fine. I'm glad that we're collapsing so we don't have to do a fucking tournament for 3 to 4 weeks. Because to me, that's just stretch the shit out. Just make it eliminator style and then keep closing it in until you get to the final one-on-one. That's all. I'm fine with the brackets the way they are. I want this to go fast. Because I want to get through Night of Champions because I care more about SummerSlam, where these title matches for the winners are going to take place. Other than that, I think this was fine for what it was.
All right, the main event was the final Fatal 4-Way of the night for the men's King of the Ring qualifying match. Cody Rhodes versus Shinsuke versus Andrade versus Damian Priest. Another unpredictable match because, you have Damian Priest on there. That was the one that kind of threw me off. I wasn't expecting Shinsuke to win it. I wasn't expecting Andrade to win it, but I wasn't sure if it was going to go to Cody or Damian Priest. That's just me. But it ended up being Cody Rhodes, but I really liked how Shinsuke Nakamura looked in this match. He kind of had me going there for a while. Shinsuke Nakamura was outsmarting everyone, and I want to say he was the one that got a lot more offense than everybody in this match. Everyone was bumping for Shinsuke Nakamura throughout this match. But Cody Rhodes, even after eating the Slim Jim table, he still managed to get the win. Cody Rhodes advances, and I believe, we have one more men's qualifying match for Monday Night Raw, but so far we have Cody Rhodes who advanced. We have Randy Orton, and we have, who was the
Sami
first
Zayn.
one? Who?
Sami Zayn.
And Sami Zayn. Thank you. So, thoughts on the main event, fellas?
I'm hyped for it, man. I truly was. Now, I had a feeling that Cody was going to win. My question is, will he go all the way? If I'm being completely honest, as much as I would love for this to be the way that he goes, you know what? This is how I'm going to get my rematch. I don't think so. I'm starting to think the same thing with the newly announced final spot main event Jey Uso. I don't think either of them are winning. I love them both. Hell, I have my profile picture on TikTok being a picture of me with Cody Rhodes. That is my profile picture. I do not think he's winning, and I do not think main event Jey Uso is winning. I think that the one who is going to win is going to end up being someone who hasn't gone up against Gunther or Cena, or hasn't gone up against them in quite a while. I do not think that they will be title rematches.
Great main event. As far as concerned, yeah, Shinsuke was kind of the MVP here. I mean, the thing is, it's so easy to forget just how fucking good Shinsuke actually is. You wind the clock back to WWE 8 years ago, even 9 years ago, when Shinsuke was just starting off around the main roster, dude was on fire. He was on fire. I mean, he could do no wrong. He had an undefeated streak. The Kinshasa was over as hell. His entrance was always one of the loudest pops of the night. His presentation was perfect. And they had to go fuck it up with AJ Styles at WrestleMania by kicking each other in the groins. And then they followed it up again at their rematch, and then that really killed the mystique of Shinsuke. But you forget just how insanely talented this man is in between those ropes. What a guy that I wish that they would utilize more and more. But I think that's more because he likes the part-time schedule of it. As far as it's concerned, Cody winning was the only one that made sense here. It had to be Cody Rhodes. You don't, like I said, the same thing with Knight and Cena. You don't put those three guys in a promo at the start of the show with John unless one or two of them are advancing. It just wouldn't make sense any other way. As far as it is really concerned, I think we end up with, in my opinion, I genuinely think we end up with Cody versus Randy and Jay versus Sammy. I think that's what they're building to. I think that's why all these men are in their respective matches, because Jay is now inserted. I guarantee you he wins his match. He goes on to face Sammy, who wins whatever next match. I think that's what's going to happen. It's going to come down to friends versus friends and friends versus friends. And I think that this leads to a potential Sammy heel turn at some point, because I think Jay is going to beat him. And I think this is going to lead to a Randy heel turn, because I think Cody's going to beat him. And then we're going to get Cody versus Jay. And then King of the Ring. Who wins? That kind of thing. So I think that's where we're headed. When you really think about it, look at everybody else in the tournament. These are the only four guys that make the most sense story-wise for both brands. They're the only four guys that make the most sense. But those are my thoughts.
The only thing, just really quick, Toxic, before you take us home, is I believe the way that it's set up is the winner from Raw faces the winner from SmackDown. So I think it's going to be Sami Zayn versus Randy Orton, and then Cody Rhodes versus whoever wins from Raw.
Okay, so then I would Then I would probably make it Sammy versus Randy, and we're going to get Jay versus Cody. So I think that's where we end up. And thank you for correcting me. I wasn't sure how that was bracketed, but I think we're in for some really exciting matches here between those four men. Whatever way you slice it, it's gonna be really good. I think Sammy beats Randy. I think Jay beats Cody. I think this has to end up with Jay this close to reclaiming. And I think we get a Sammy heel turn on Jay. I think Jay beats Sammy. I think we're going to get a rematch between Gunther and Jay. And I think that's going to cause Sammy to snap. And he's going to turn heel on Jay, just like Chad Gable turned heel on Sammy for taking a spot against Gunther at Mania last year. And I think we're running that back, but with these two.
Yeah, just to clarify, the bracket goes Raw, which Sammy won, SmackDown, Randy won, SmackDown, Cody, and then Raw. That looks backwards, but it doesn't for me. Anyways, yeah, Cody made the most sense to me, and I am super excited for Monday because I am positive Jay is winning next week, because you have Rusev and Sheamus. They're starting in a feud, so you wouldn't have either of them win. So then, if they go brawling either backstage or into the crowd, you have just Big Bronson Reed and Jay. So then that would lead an open spot for Sammy to possibly get involved and help Jay win. I do think it's interesting though, because if Jay does, you have 4 out of the 5 men that were on the same team in War Games 2023. They were on the same team, and I like finding little details like that in wrestling. That's cool. That's cool to me. But I'm super excited for the semifinals, and I so hope Jay wins next week. It's most likely going to happen though.
If I can finish that thought, because you make a great point. 4 of the 5 men that were on the War Games team are all involved and most likely going to be involved in the finals of this tournament. The one guy who refused to help them is the very guy that's turned against them, is the heel in Seth Rollins. I thought that's a fun note there.
Yeah, but like I said, Cody, I kind of wish Priest would have won because it's kind of like they just dropped the story with Jacob and Damian just by having this and Jacob turning on Solo. So it feels like they kind of just dropped that. To me, it feels like they dropped it. So I kind of wanted Priest to win, but I'm glad that Cody won. So now we can see Randy and Sammy that technically aren't friends, but they technically are. Anyways, versus Cody and hopefully Jay, which they are friends, and that's going to be an interesting one. So I'm excited for this.
Right on, fellas. Well, that was the Friday Night Smackdown review with the Snug Wrestling Podcast. Overall, it was a pretty enjoyable Smackdown. I'm not going to say it was the greatest Smackdown of all time either, but it had some good stuff on there. We got the final Fatal 4-Way matches to look forward to. And yeah, this King of the Ring tournament is coming to an end pretty soon. So we'll see what happens at the semifinals. We'll be on the lookout for Monday Night Raw. I hope everyone has a good Father's Day weekend, by the way. If you got kids, if you're out there listening, happy Father's Day. If you have a father, be sure to, wish him happy Father's Day. And yeah, don't forget to keep it snug. Hit us up at Snug Wrestling. Check out the podcast. Leave a star rating and a review. Anything else we should plug, Mr. Blood, before we get out of here?
Well, one important thing, since you are the creator and the pilot of this great show, happy Father's Day to Snug. And also, folks, please remember that every Monday and Friday night, we're here live doing reviews after the show. Every Thursday, Snug and I go live on TikTok, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. on the West Coast. And we go over whatever topics of the week. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Apple, and Spotify. And we release episodes throughout the week on my segment, The Blood Drop, 4 to 5 episodes a week that go live right after I make them. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. Stay safe, stay savage, and stay snug.
Let's get the fuck